Oh, this stream is running a little behind schedule because I had a stomach ache that erupted right as I was starting it. So please forgive me for my tardiness. Ugh. I do plan on making an edited video this week. I've just been having, good old writer's block. Sometimes to mitigate it, I'll go outside and just go for a walk. And then when I'm walking, I'll just kind of think about, or like I'll record myself just kind of talking about what I want in the script. And then I'll play it back when I get back home and, write it from then on. Or at least get ideas that I can transfer into whatever Google Doc I have. Yeah, if you can hear that outside, I apologize as well. This is the apology stream. This is the I'm sorry I made a mistake. Oops, my bad stream. I'm trying to remember what the sequence of events was. Um, I know I did the stream on Monday. I know that I discussed how it seems like I'm cursed with these jobs because they either don't say anything back, or if they do, they get rid of you. Right after they hire to fire. Let me close the window. Oh, it's already closed. That's how loud that thing is. The testament to how loud something is when you have every way you would even be able to hear it locked off or closed or concealed, and then you can still hear it to a great degree. That's the ultimate testament of how loud things are. Did I thumb the video up? I think I did. Let me thumb it up. Yeah, this has been the week of getting rid of ridiculous chicks. Anyone who's watched any of these for any short duration of time would know I talked about these two broads that I was speaking to, one of which got mad because I wouldn't tell her personal stuff about me that I wouldn't tell anyone online that I only met a few months ago about, because it's none of their business. But she got ridiculously mad. Then for all of last month, wouldn't write anything to me. And then at the end of the month, I just said, to hell with this and cut it off. The other one was the stupid one where she would, and I mentioned how ridiculous this was. A lot of these chicks, for whatever reason, act like having a phone call with them or a call in any capacity where you just talk voice to voice, like people do in real life all the time, is damn near impossible. Like they will go out of their way to make up any and every excuse to why they can't do it. Some will say they're busy. Some will say they don't feel comfortable with you hearing their voice. Always an excuse. Just just to not have a call, which I would think is a very simple thing. You don't, whatever. I thought it was goofy. But this one is different in the sense that she'll have a call in her stupid server, but every time you speak to her or attempt to, she's playing a video game. And it means that every time you try to have a conversation with this person, they're distracted with something else. So, for example, if I say I'm gonna fire up a stream and talk to the people that come in the chat, and then while you guys are writing stuff, I'm like, oh man, doing this. It's like, no, you get where it's the purpose has been overridden by your refusal to pay attention to the others that are around you. So that was very off-putting. But I'm not the kind of person who would just get rid of someone over something like that, because I mentioned before that she was attentive if you sent her a message, so she would respond if you wrote something to her. But this past, I think it was Saturday or Sunday, it was right around Monday. Might have even been Monday. I have to go look at the. That's the worst part about the start of a new month because they always trip me up in terms of like remembering when something took place. Uh, yeah, this was on Monday. Okay, so at some point during this past weekend or on Monday itself, I so her excuse for not writing back to me is she's so busy because all these chicks they're so busy. That's why it takes them a month to send you a message that's not even a whole sentence because they're so busy. They all are so preoccupied and doing all of these different things that make it impossible for them to respond to you in any slight way for weeks or months on end. But anyways, uh, she had the same thing. Oh, I've been busy. I'm doing this to everybody. Yeah, I believe that. Um, but we took her at her word, although we shouldn't have. And then on Piscord, there's a thing where if somebody's on your friend list, it'll show you if you're in a server with them, if they're in a VC. So if they're in a voice call with people. Now, I get a notification because it shows me that she's in a VC in her server. And this takes me by surprise because I haven't seen her in her VC in a while, like at least a month or so. So I click to go in the server, and guess what I see? A room, a VC room, right? Because when people join a VC, sometimes there's limits, like only 10 people can come in or 5 people, like just whatever. I see a VC with 2 people in it that's locked, which she did since she's the one that owns the server. So I want you to think of how screwed up this is because a lot of times people will say, oh, you don't give someone the benefit of the doubt. But just think about this. If I want to have a VC or a phone call with one person, I can DM call them, because it's one person. Or if I want to have a call with 2 people, I can do a DM group call. I don't need to make a room in my server, which barely has many people in it to begin with, just to talk to this one person. But that's why my theory was she was trying to show how, like, oh, I don't have time for the rest of you, but I have time for this particular person. So I just said, I didn't say anything to her. I just unfriended her, left the server, and that was that. Washed my hands of all these stupid chicks. Doing that constantly. Oh, Jim, let me talk to you about that election stuff. So look, the deadline to get on the ballot is in, I think, the next week, like the 11th or something. So what I'm gonna do, because I like these last couple of months have been hell on earth. Between like starting at that job and then it goes nowhere, and this other thing that happened a few months ago, I'm just not in the proper well, Jam, I don't think I'm gonna get 1,000 signatures in 5 days. I'm just gonna put you like that. So I would rather not do it this time and then see what happens next time. So try for the 2024 election for the House for my district. I'd rather try that one than this one because these last couple of months have sucked. And I really don't feel like burdening myself with a hard as hell campaign to get, elected to that. But again, it's still something I eventually want to do. I'm just saying that the circumstances of the last couple of months have been pretty awful. All right, there we go. Why didn't you charge your phone earlier?
I was in there.
Why didn't you bring the charger in there with you?
That's your charger.
Why didn't you say this is my charger for today?
Why would I?
Because you might try to be authoritative. No, I moved it so they can't see you. Just go ahead. Yeah, Jim, I'm not the boy who cried wolf. I'm just telling you that the last couple of months have really been stressful. So I just don't want to put something else on top of that Um, so I'd rather just try it again, except for the time after that, because I'm sure whoever gets elected this time is probably going to suck, because that's usually how it goes when you live in a blue district. They vote for anybody that has a D next to their name and gets a couple of big endorsements. So I probably will just kind of like pay a little bit of attention to them and see what positions they take, and then run after that. But the other issue is it's just there's a lot of little logistic stuff with it. Like I remember when last year started, I went to the DMV's website, and they're like, "Oh, well, we don't know when we're gonna post the election deadline information." And really, it all just comes down to when you first do this stuff. There's no one to really like. There's no set of individuals to properly guide you through these things. Like I can't just get a notebook and have people sign pages of it and then go, oh, here's all the people that want me on the ballot. As far as I know, if there's some kind of official way to turn that stuff in, there's no one to really explain it. So I just feel like if I give myself until the next election, I can learn more about the process involved with doing this stuff. Because you don't really have a guide, because elections are designed to where a normal person, short of them being part of some family or other group of people that have done it before, has an extremely difficult time getting into that stuff. It is what it is. I'll probably just try it again. No, it's really hard to get into this stuff in that type of way if you don't have a person who's done it before or a group of people who've done it before. I had some crazy person come on my screen talk about, what's your opinion on the Ukrainian invasion? I'm like, dude, I've made like 5 videos on that. Go watch those.
Mm.
I hate it when they do that. Like when they ask you something that you made a whole video about. Like, go watch the video. No damn Q&A. Like that was awful. So I said a lot of times with these streams, people really do think it's just an excuse to just write any old thing. I know Akatsuki Merchant's getting mad because I didn't say hello to him. I can already hear him typing up his essay. I'm never watching you again. You didn't greet me. Yeah, thanks. I saw that. I'm just saying that person really upset me because like I don't understand why I have to restate something that I already said in multiple other videos. Like I don't really get that. You get on my nerves with this type of stuff. Like, imagine if I made a video. Here's my review of what's the new movie? I don't know, of the Batman, and then like on my next stream, you go, "What did you think of the Batman?" It's like I just did a video review of it. Go watch that. People are weird. It's like you make something specific to talk about something, they just go, "Oh, that crap fills up enough of my newsfeed, so I understand your frustration." I mean, I'm frustrated at just like the idea that this is because we're like Jem saw the Yemen video, the one I did yesterday, or I put up yesterday rather. So I'm just kind of irritated that it's only this one country that anybody gives a damn about. To hell with the Palestinians, right? To hell with the Yemen civilians getting blown to pieces by the Saudi Arabia government and for a time by the US as well. It's like all these other people are suffering and nobody cares. And it really goes to show you if you just keep talking about something and you're on TV and politicians talk like it's just a really interesting psychological thing where objective other awful stuff is happening in the world because it's not being covered regularly or at all. Nobody cares. Like that's all you need to know about how like screwed up a lot of these Americans are. I remember I had that one bimbo ask me if I had a relative in Yemen. And I remember she was like so surprised. I was offended. But I was like, yeah, because you're basically saying that if that you cannot understand why a person who has no personal stake in something would think it's screwed up and talk about it even when most people are not. You know what goes on in Yemen, right?
Mm-mm.
I'm so disappointed in you. Anyways, what happens? You can relax because they're not. I'm not surprised because I know your school doesn't mention or anything. About 6 or 7 years ago, when Obama was in his second term,
Mm-hmm.
Saudi Arabia, you know that country.
Yeah.
They have a government that they're friends with that got overthrown in Yemen by some rebels over there. So guess what the Saudi Arabia government did in response to this?
What?
They blocked off all the ports to people to leave the country from, and they bombed hospitals, grocery stores.
Mm.
They starved children.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, I've showed your mother a picture of a child that looked like a skeleton. And over there, they have currently the worst humanitarian crisis in the world because of all these starving children, all these people impoverished, can't bring any food in because they have it blocked off. They've turned that into a living nightmare. It's a really disgusting thing. No, some of the I can't even look at a picture of somebody from Yemen without wanting to vomit. Just that whole thing over there make I guess it's so funny because a lot of people will talk about how like, oh, you know, the Indians, right? They were beaten and murdered when the Americans first came over here, Christopher Columbus, rest of them. And then it's like, oh, slavery also was, bad, and the Holocaust was bad. And it's like, I guess people think that these like awful things that are done to large groups of people um, are like a thing of the past. You know what I mean? Like they don't really consider like, oh wait, Palestinians get treated like garbage by the Israeli government. Oh, Yemen civilians get treated like trash by the Saudi Arabia government. Oh, modern, horrible things happening in the world. James says children in Yemen are so hungry they're biting their own hands. Yeah, a lot of people resort to cannibalism when they're malnourished. Jem says Yemen has brown and black people. No one cares. I mean, hey, I'm not even. We if you've seen any of Door's videos on this recently, they talked about that as well. That a lot of the reason for Ukraine getting as much attention is because it's white people in distress. Oh my god. Akatsuki Merchant says, why aren't these things seen as literal crimes against humanity and considered grounds for execution? Well, because every country has its own set of laws, and international law is kind of a joke. I mean, if you have a government that the U.S. is so friendly with that it not only supports it in bombing these innocent people to death, because that's what we did in Yemen for the whole duration of that thing being under Obama and Trump, we were complicit in it, bombing as well. And even after Biden pulls out, he's still willing to sell weapons to Saudi Arabia so they can keep doing it. That's a nice little loophole, right? We are out of the war in Yemen, but we're still going to sell you weapons to continue destroying people over there. Akatsuki Merchant says, I'm not for the death penalty, but I will fully support. Okay, well. I'm not going to read that because I don't want to get demonetized. It's so funny how like with the US, oh, we care about women's rights and equality and all this other crap. And then it's like, oh, by the way, we're friends with Saudi Arabia, the same country where women have to wear stuff over their head and they can't look directly at the whatever. Okay. You are probably too young to remember shock and awe. I mean, the great thing about the U.S.'s little war system is it's like every what 2 5 years there's another screwed up thing that nobody talks about after the first week. That's why I said people just they don't if something's not happening to them, they do not care. That's why the chick thing is allowed to fester and linger because as long as it's not happening to broads or to a lot of these different guys or whatever, hey, let's just act like it's not happening, like it's not hard as hell to get somebody to do something as simple as going on a date. If there's one thing you remember from this channel is that people do not have empathy in a lot of cases if it has not happened to them. No, Jim, they had weapons of mass destruction. I tell you, it's just I don't even know what this is anymore. Like we really do just allow any old screwed up thing to happen. Like if it's not in the U.S. itself, but if it's done by the U.S., we just are like whatever. That's why I remember Mike Ravel said, when somebody kills one person, it's murder. If they kill thousands, it's foreign policy. Because we don't like we have these government officials, they will just kill a whole bunch of people, like through some order, sending troops to whatever place or dropping a bomb somewhere. Like we mentioned with Obama, he bombed in Syria so much that he ran out of bombs. Um, and people just don't care because it's not happening to them. In the U.S., we support free speech. That's why we all love Obama after he signed the Espionage Act, he jailed journalists 6 times for exposing his war crimes. But shh, be very, very quiet. What's that other bill? It's the NDA 1021. It's some bill he signed where police can throw you in jail without charging you. The Ukrainians are laying for bad U.S. policy. Like I said, they're just using this as an excuse to start a whole bunch of other stuff that's not going to go anywhere. Like you had Pelosi admitting that the sanctions on Russia are going to hurt the people and not Putin. But hey, let's do it anyway, just for fun. People have to suffer because you don't like the leader, because they totally all were for this. No, anytime I do a Yemen story, I always have to look it up because none of the news networks, they don't cover it. But like, even with the Hill, they barely mention it sometimes too. So I have to just keep typing in what's going on in this country this week, stuff like that. And this whole thing is so botched. Foreign policy is just war with extra steps. Well, it seems like every time they want to advance a war, they do, and every time they supposedly want to make peace, they find a way to screw it up. I mean, You look at the Trump North Korea stuff. It's like year after year, president after president. North Korea is so dangerous; they need to be contained. Blah 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 blah. And then Trump comes along and has this war of words with Kim Jong Un. Then they have a meeting where pretty much it's just a photo op. Then they try to have another meeting, and that doesn't go anywhere. And then they try to have another one, and then they both blame each other for why nothing happened. So, and then you have Biden doing the exact same thing that Trump was doing. Oh, North Korea is so dangerous; they're testing all these missiles. It's like, what changed? you know? Hell, look at the Iran deal. You had Iran sign up for this deal. Was it like 5 other countries? And then, you know, they comply with it. They have the was it the IEEA, the atomic agency? They come in there and evaluate their stuff. They say, yeah, they're in compliance with the rules and regulations you impose on them. And then the U.S. gets a new president from the other party, and he tears it up. And now they don't want to get back in it because they know that if they get it under Biden, whoever wins the next election or whenever a Republican becomes president again, they're just going to rip it up again. So, like, yeah, it's a lot easier to start a war than to have peace. That's just the way it appears to be. And a lot of the countries that don't want to have peace with us have valid reasons. Why the hell would you want to sign an agreement with the country that you comply with and they just rip up in your face? What kind of deal is that? We abide by the rules of it, but the other person that signed up with us, oh yeah, they can rip it up and declare it's void, even though we did everything we were supposed to.
The heck?
That's what we did to Iran. Oh, the U.S. is such a joke. I didn't feel like having a. That's the other thing that has me a little bit worried about running for one of these offices, like just having those debates with people, because I always say debates are just a way for people to argue with each other and for it to go nowhere. Um, so that's going to be probably the most uninteresting, annoying part of it. Hey, remember, it's the same thing with the Senate and House. Like this, the Democrats 4 years ago. Oh, we need we need the House and the Senate so we can pass stuff. Yeah, and then they get the House in the midterm 2018 midterm. Oh, we need the Senate so the next Democratic president can pass all their stuff. Yeah, and then they get the Senate, and then when they can't pass anything, well, Manchin, the actual president, won't let us pass things, and we're all too much of pussies to actually do anything about this one senator. So you need to vote for more of us to get in the Senate. It never stops. All they do is look for 900 excuses to not pass anything. Like first they don't have the House, they don't have the Senate, they don't have enough seats. It's just that's like, and think about that. That's like 6 years. That's 3 election cycles just to get a bill passed. Lame bastards. Oh, okay. Kotsky Merchant says, "Yep, it's a lot easier to say screw you, we'll do what we want, than actually forming diplomatic relations. Because if you form diplomatic relations, that means you'll have to get along with brown people, and we can't have that now, can we?" Jim says, "I like how they have money for war and not for we the people." Dude, think about this. You'll have people who will get mad at you for saying the minimum wage should be marginally increased. Like, let's say where I live, it's $16. Let's say you said, okay, I want it to be 20. I want $4 more per hour. You'll have people who will get pissed off at you and lose their minds. You're going to make small businesses close. But then when they do a war and they spend hundreds of billions of dollars every year, where are these same crybabies? Nowhere to be seen. They just become mute somehow. You don't think that's weird? You want a $4 increase in your wage? Never. Oh, you guys want to spend hundreds of billions of dollars bombing some country that most Americans have never even heard of? Go right ahead. I told you I always remember that 700 was it 717 billion military budget from like what was that 3 4 years ago for that stupid space force crap that Trump had. Like that could I don't even want to imagine how many people that could put through school. Like if you took that 700 billion and just paid for a year of school, like just see how many people that would cover. That is crazy. Some of the prices people will spend on stuff that really does go nowhere. It just is depressing. Those small businesses would stay afloat if the government didn't screw so much, spend so much freaking money on bombing brown people overseas. Well, like my thing is always this: if you have a business that, like, think about these we're not talking about double it like at $30 an hour. Like, no, you're saying you want a marginal increase to be $1, two, three. If these businesses cannot afford to give, because remember they're small businesses, right? Two people or three people, six more dollars an hour a week, or excuse me, it's like then maybe they shouldn't even have this many people there anyway. Like what? Like I was explaining this when I was at the job that from this week. I was like, you had the manager admit that a lot of the people that are there they don't even have a 40-hour shift. Like I was shown the hours by the manager where one person's got 29 hours, another one has 38, and it's like if these people are not being given enough hours, because they're to make a pay that can cause them to afford a standard living fee of whatever the rent is for an apartment or some other house over here, then the job is useless. So I just don't buy it. I feel like if you can't afford to give people two more dollars an hour, maybe you shouldn't have this many people. Like, would you really want to hire 100 people that you pay $2 an hour over? I don't know, 10 that you actually give something where they can give someone an hour where they can afford to live. It's just like I don't understand the logic of these people sometimes. Small businesses are going to be ruined by paying you one more buck. It's like, well, hell, why don't we just pay everybody 50 cents and then everyone will have a job? Like I don't get these people at all. They just don't care, and we are failing to hold them accountable. Well, I mean, I always criticize them, but when you only get like 20 views a video, hey, what can you do? you know, they just sent 280 million in Ukraine. $20 an hour is completely reasonable. If you can't manage that as a business owner, then that's your fault for being bad at money management. Like I said, if I actually owned a business, if I couldn't afford to give out, because I do believe in minimum wage, like I think it should be higher than it is. If I couldn't afford to give everybody $20 an hour, I wouldn't hire more people than I could afford to give that to. Like, and a lot of these places are, they do cheap stuff to even get out of paying you a full week's worth of pay. Like they won't give you tell them on your application, I'm on 40 hours. They'll give you like 20 or 15 or like there's they hire you part-time so they can get out of paying you, for a full fee for full-time work. Because they're looking for any little cheap shortcut way to get out of paying people what they are owed. That's why when I was got let go of at the one from last year, I was like, to hell with them. I mean, I told this prick, this stupid manager, I want 40 hours a week because that's what I would need to take care of myself because that's what the wages are. That's a standard work week, right? And you're only giving me like 2 days a week, and then it's not even a full shift. It's like 3 4 hours. Like you can't live off of that. So I just said to hell with it. I didn't shed any tears over being gotten rid of from there because it was a stupid thing to even be hired somewhere where they won't give you a full-time schedule. And it just seems like a lot of these places are hell bent on doing that. Again, because they want to save as much money for themselves as possible. Like get better at money management, pull yourself up by your bootstraps like you tell desperate poor people. By the way, speaking of desperate poor people, I found out that so remember, I don't ever look into stuff with the dingbat with the baby because I try to stay away from that person. They're really irritating. I don't like them. I found out this week that they were apparently let go of at their position as well, and I only laughed because I was like, wow, they're just getting rid of everybody everywhere. But I was thinking, I said, here's the difference, right? When I get terminated from somewhere, the only person I have to worry about taking care of is yours truly. If she gets terminated from somewhere, then you have her having to worry about herself and this kid that she knew she couldn't afford from the time she had it. So I'd say one person's fate is worse than the other, because that I remember when I was doing the whole family planning thing, I was like, there's no way in hell I would try to conceive a child with a even if I was married to this woman, um, without having some kind of full-time job for at least half a year, if not longer. Because you have to know that this place is not just gonna, decide tomorrow, oh, hi, new employee, bye, new employee. And that's why I said it's such a travesty that we let people just have these kids and like there's maybe the parents will get mad for the first week or month and then after that it's just like whatever because they are ruining the lives of these kids that they create that they know they can't take care of, and it's really sad that the only thing that makes you qualified to be a parent is having the I guess a uterus and a banana. It's sad that it just there's no litmus test for it. But people will say, "Oh, my freedoms." Yeah. So I wasn't happy over that person getting fired. I just thought it was kind of, I want to say ironic, but it was like, wow, everybody's just getting terminated. Oh man. That's why we need to raise minimum wage so those parents can take care of their kids. I don't know. It just seems like these companies always find a way to shortcut you. Like if you don't if they raise the wages and they have to pay you more, the way they get out of paying you what you should get if you want to work there full time is by hiring you part time. Um, and it just seems like there's always something they can do to curve what are supposed to be good things. Like, oh, you're getting paid another dollar an hour or two more dollars an hour. That's great. It's like you know what I'm saying of how there just seems to be like schemes they keep doing to get out of hiring people and paying them for what they're entitled to. By hiring the person who wants 40 hours for 20 or for 35 or for some other crap. There's always some scam they do to get out of doing it. Move. Always some scheme. I remember I was watching this one person's video a few days ago, and they were talking about how. Well, let me read what Gumi is saying. I found this scam when I used to applying for a lot of jobs a few years back was really frustrating as well, making me second guess myself. Why could this be the case? Yeah, I wasn't fully aware of all the little like schemes they do, but when this thing started happening again this week, I looked up online, hire to fire. I was like, there's no way this is by coincidence. There has to be some kind of thing that they know they do this, and sure enough, there was where they will hire people with the intent of setting them up to fail. So get trying to look for anything they can to get rid of them as quickly as possible. And this practice has a couple of reasons for its motive. Sometimes they want to make it look as if, oh, anyone is expendable. Like, oh, I just got this person on here. They weren't doing good, so you could be next and intimidate other employees. Some of them get a power trip off of doing it. There's all kind of reasons for that scheme. But the thing I've seen now is that a lot of these places that have to pay minimum wage will mitigate having to, because they know people want to be able to take care of themselves, and the way to take care of yourself is to work a full-time schedule. So when you tell them on your application, I want 40 hours a week, available whenever you need me, which is what I always say, right? um, they will mitigate this by hiring you part-time. Oh, you can come in for 3 days this week and work 6 hours or 4 hours, and you're like, what the hell? I can't live off of this. That's why I said at the position from last year, the week that they got rid of me, I was trying to find another position already because it just, they weren't barely using me. So I was like, this is stupid. So there's all kind of little schemes they use. Again, I'm someone who supports marginal increases to the minimum wage, but I just think that they're going to keep using little cheap tricks to get out of paying people, stuff that can actually help them and allow them to take care of themselves. But I always remember, these companies don't care about you. They'd rather have you live under a box than pay you, a wage that is actually livable on. Like, oh yeah, I can't wait to rent a house or rent an apartment after I work 3 days a week for 6 hours a day. Like, it's just, what the hell? There's always some scheme. I remember when I was in it was either ninth or 10th grade. I think it was 10th grade. I had this math teacher, and she had this test that I couldn't pass. And one day when I came after school to take it again, I was like, why does this look different? Found out this crazy broad had 3 versions of the test, all with 2 or 3 other different new problems.
The heck?
So it's purposely designed so that you can never memorize it. It just keeps switching it out. I was like, what is this? Man, I had some weird teachers. Yeah, I'm just really burnt out with a lot of this stuff. That was always just so weird to me. Like, oh yeah, come take this test after school. By the way, there's like 3 versions of it. That's really strange. Sounds like they couldn't stand the idea of a student passing their test. I'm just saying, there's always some little trick when someone doesn't want you to succeed or to get what you want. They'll find a way to botch it. Oh, Megumi, you weren't here earlier, but I was talking about that broad that every time you call her, she does this. Oh man, I almost got that person in. Playing a little stupid crap on her computer. Can't just talk to somebody. It's first time hearing that crazy scenario. Yeah, I don't usually mention it because I don't really like to talk about that instructor. They kind of made me want to vomit. Um, the worst thing is that they are supposed to be professional, but they pull stunts like this. Oh, I've seen a lot of ridiculous like activities from instructors, and like, I remember when I was still in college, I had this one teacher, and I came up to him and I asked. He was like a history teacher. I was like, hey, if I do an essay on this topic, is it applicable? Like, can I use this? And he says, I can't pre-approve essays. And I'm just thinking to myself, I just want to know if I can use this topic. You act like I'm asking you to read the goddamn thing and then, give me an A before it's even supposed to be turned in. I just want to know if I can use this topic. What the hell are you pre-approving? You know what I'm saying? It's just people, whatever. But anyways, to get back to this stupid chick. So I go into her server after I'm notified that she's in a VC. And the VC has two people in there, her and this other person, and it's locked. And this really rubs me the wrong way because when I want to have a call with one person, like just with one person, right? I'll DM call them. I don't need to go on a server which barely has anybody in it to begin with and go, I will only speak to this person. And oh, you want to come in here? I don't think so. So when I saw that, I thought about it for a day and I was like, that was really stupid. So I unfriended her, washed my hands, and that was the end. That was the end of her. Because this was at the same time where she was ignoring my messages. I don't like having my messages ignored. Especially when we know you're online and you're sitting up in some hours long call with this other person. Like, really? You can talk to them for hours, but if I want you to write a sentence back to me, it's too much? For real? You expect me to believe that? Seriously? Are you kidding?
I guess not.
Hey, was Tuesday, April 1st instead of March 1st? So anyway, I believe something like that. So think about this. She has a server with barely anybody in there, and she feels like she has to lock this VC room so that nobody can come in there and speak to her and this other person, who, if she wanted to truly speak to in private, without any of us knowing about, she could just DM call the person. But that would go against her purpose, which was to show how, like, I guess, that's why I said these chicks are so weird to me. Like, you have a tool to have a private call with someone, have none of us know about it, but you don't use it. You would instead rather go in your server and make a locked room with this one person for hours on end. These broads, they do stuff that is just so, man, they're lucky they have chess melons in a triangle because nobody else would have any reason to put up with them. They're just so irritating and weird. Like, I don't understand that at all. Well, my interpretation was that she was, trying to like look imposing, like, haha, I can make it to where no one can come in here. It's like, whatever. Still watching man that hates on women, even though you claim to not like it. Shake my head. Magumi, remember that disease we talked about where people who claim to not like my stuff, they just can't stop watching, they just keep coming back? That's why we don't block them, because we're trying to show you how mentally ill they are, because they keep watching the person they claim to dislike the content of. I'm just shaking my head. How disgusting and bizarre and weird your behavior is, just shaking my head. So weird, I don't get it. Just so bizarre. Can't stop watching someone you claim to not like the stuff of. Very, 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 very strange. I'm just shaking my head. That's why I don't like all three of the mods here. Do not block this person, because remember what our policy is. We want to show you how mentally ill they are when they keep on coming back and watching someone they claim to not like. We're not even talking about all women. We're talking about one particular person. But okay, Serena, keep writing your weird, snide little remarks. James, listen, this is another one of these people who believes that if you have that magic triangle, that holy V, we cannot criticize thee. So when we critique a singular woman, that's too much for her. Even though she's a hypocrite, because I can show you where on one of my streams, she wrote that another woman that I did a video on was crazy. But I guess only women are allowed to criticize other women. How fair is that? If you don't have a triangle, you can't criticize them from any angle. Still watching a person you claim you don't like. What is with these people? They are obsessed and mentally ill. Dude, it's like, you know what's so weird too? That's why I said that this one chick's behavior was strange to me, because most chicks, most people I've seen, when they want to talk to somebody one-on-one, they just call them in a DM call. They don't sit there and make a room in a server and lock it. That's why it was weird. I'm like, yeah, that's most people don't do that, whether they're male or female. But it's like you're critiquing one person, and this individual is so insane that somehow she construes that as criticizing women. This one person represents an entire gender. That's the kind of brainless drivel you write in my comment section, then you're surprised when you get banned? Oh, wait, you criticize, which must mean you hate. Yeah. I told you, man, you go on Twitter, there are so, you know what's weird too is like most of the stream, we didn't even talk about chicks. Like we started off with discussing some election related stuff, and then international issues. Most of the stream hasn't even been about chicks. I just mentioned that one broad, like I think 2 times. And I only mentioned the second time because Megumi hadn't shown up yet when I first said it. And now we're supposedly hating on chicks. Oh, here we go with these ringing phones again. We were talking one woman and a weird thing she did. We're not sitting here like, yeah, screw women, they're all scum. Yeah, no one here has even said that. So, hey, man, you don't have to be intelligent to beat down these people's arguments because they're null and void. They're very weak. They put words in your mouth. If they're like Serena, they're racist, because she was saying that I have seen other black men hating on all women, and that's what they all do apparently. So, these people they're just not exactly worth anyone's time or attention, which is why they have to orbit around those of us who are trying to have a civilized dialogue. Sorry, I got triggered because there are so many men who do that. Are you still shaking your head? Did that empty thing fall off? I'm telling you, these people don't even think. They just get on that keyboard and just start typing to their heart's content. Dude, these people are just like the most bizarre individuals on planet Earth. It's actually her being weird because if this person is truly a female, they are by definition being weird, because most chicks are so unconcerned about men speaking disparagingly about some of them, which they do to men all the time on other websites and this one too, that they don't even come here and try to like argue with me. So it's like you're already being weird by the fact that you are coming here and trying to defend people you have nothing to do with and only are, I guess, related to by virtue of supposedly being the same gender. So you came in, a wild assumption you make up in your head. Hey, Serena, your shower thoughts don't sound as good as you think they do. That's why I said the only good Serena is the one from Pokemon. All the rest of them just.
Mm.
You're having a live debate. I thought you wanted a two-way discussion. Okay, well, I don't know how I was having a live debate if it was just me and some people speaking. There wasn't really any arguing going on before that. But secondly, how is it a two-way? Like, what is of a sophomoric debating quality to respond to someone by saying, "Still hating on women, SMH"? What are you debating? What are you arguing against? What points of opposition are you espousing? But see, this goes back to this thing of how you guys do something screwed up, then when you get laughed at and made fun of for acting like villains and just being so antagonistic for no reason. I just came here to participate in a two-way discussion, even though the thing I said had nothing to do with actually addressing what points I disagreed with you on. Oh, they always want to turn it into a clown show. They put on their big shoes and their nose and their little car, and they start making balloon animals.
That tiny car.
People really do just get on their keyboard and type up their stupid arguments that they make up in the shower and will swear up and down. It's the most profound thing since touchscreen photo phones.
Is he wrong though?
I don't know what's wrong with this person. I've seen them at least 3 times before today, and it's like you don't like the content here, but you just keep coming back. Like, I'm very serious when I say if someone keeps making stuff that I don't like, I don't watch them. This is literally Serena. Stop hating on women. But we didn't even say anything about all women. We talked about one ridiculous chick. Sorry, I got triggered. Triggered for what? Nobody was even talking about you. This has nothing to do with you.
The heck?
I just wanted to have a two-way debate. What's two-way about you coming and being antagonistic and not even addressing what the hell came out of anyone's mouth?
Yeah. Let's see if she responds.
Oh, Jem, I actually did have another person say that pharmacist thing before Monday. So apparently people really do believe they have like actual doctors as the cashier. Not trying to be profound. I'm just looking around on the internet and came across your show. Well, click off. If you don't like the show, change the channel. Go there. You know how many millions of videos and content creators are on this website that are way bigger than me, and you're gonna sit up here and act like you were just on YouTube and my stream just crashed into your computer and you had to click and watch. Man, we got some of the most insane arguments from these people. No one's debating anything. We're talking about ridiculous thing one woman did. We're not assigning that to all women. We're not brain dead. I told you, look, we have stupid chicks come and make dumb arguments and do dumb things to guys as well. And then we have even dumber men come and make arguments against us speaking about these stupid things that chicks have either said or done, right? Some of them, not all of them. But don't believe Serena, because it's not men versus women. It's lies versus people. Because you have men that come on here and they say like nasty stuff to me, and then you have a couple of chicks who are on their side like this one. So it's not men versus, because there are other men attacking me too, right? It's lies versus people.
Mm.
I'm a subscriber. I like your show. Yeah. That's why you were shaking your head. You shake your head at everything you like? Yeah, this past Monday, Jam, I did a stream about it. I think it was called The Curse Continues. It became an instant classic. It's getting downloaded every day on Amazon Prime. At this point, it doesn't even matter. Hey, James, you have seen that though, where they frame it as like a gender war, like, oh, men hate chicks, chicks hate men. It's like, no, chicks do dumb things to some men, and then some guys that want to get with those chicks defend them to the ends of the earth against other men. So it's not men versus women; it's lies versus people. You've seen Serena lie before. This is the same insane person who wrote, and I will remember this forever. Women have to do things to appeal to men as well by wearing makeup and high heels. I was like, you know how many chicks I've seen never put a single slab of fake up on their face and they have men trying to get with them?
Mm-hmm.
And every school I went to, because I went to mostly Catholic schools and then a charter school toward the end, or two of them, that was banned. Like you couldn't wear high heels. And there were a whole bunch of chicks that still had, you know, a boyfriend or some other male partner, whatever you want to call it. I even had one classmate when I was in 12th grade that was married, which was really insane, but whatever. Yeah. I remember she was racist as well. Yeah. This isn't the Klan stream, all right? I don't know what you're saying what to, but I sure, you know what I would like? I would like for you to depart, because you bring nothing to the table. You're very obnoxious. You're a bigot. You're antagonistic. You're spiteful. And I'm tired of the recurring villains. Then why did you accuse him of hating on women? You came in on the stream while we were talking about that woman and assumed we were hating on women. You had no basis with which to accuse him. And then she responds by saying, "When have I ever said anything racist?" Let's have a flashback. No, it's the best thing about these people writing stuff. We can go back to it. It was. I think it was the first Saturday Smackdown. Let me go and get it. You're lucky I don't have the. Yes, is she really leaving? She says, "Okay, bye." You're going? That's the best news I've heard all week. Mm-hmm. Hey, leave, and this time don't come back. Like, we're really tired of recurring villains. Nobody comes on here to be antagonized and accused of hating on a group of people they didn't even say a word about. Like, we're tired of that. So I really hope when you say okay, bye, that's the end of it. That this is your final departure. Yeah, she wanted to leave before we got that evidence.
Uh-huh.
No, she's lucky I don't have the what's that Google thing called? Not Google Hangouts. It's I used it a couple of times. I think it's StreamYard where you can like have one screen as you and then and then flip it to your like whatever's on your Windows. So I could show them like the stream while I'm streaming, and they could see where she was writing that trash. I've seen a lot of black guys hating on women. I hope they just leave for good with they came out of nowhere accusing you of hating on chicks. Yeah, because they want attention. They're just a weird group of people that are really obsessed with the love life of a man they've never met for some reason. That's why I said people just act insane. Oh, I'm looking at the stream right now. She said dating sucks for everyone. Yeah. How many damn websites you see where chicks are like, I have never had a date with a man, and oh, me too, and me three. You never. Get out of here. Why are you still here? I don't.
Still here?
Yeah. I'm here. Look at this victim crap. I'm here, but I'm not commenting. I don't want to be abused.
Abused how? In the chat, abused how?
These damn snowflakes, man. They just
abused how?
You come to my stream, you write antagonistic trash, and then when you get called out for it, you talk about you're being that victim complex goes all the way. Someone mail me a box of tissues or pussies being abused. I'ma quit. Dude, that's all these like, you know what, one of the biggest, and it's, again, not all of them, we have to keep saying that because people like to words in my mouth. One of the biggest issues with modern chicks is the victim complex. They will find any, like, if they get pushback over something they did or something they started, they will always find a way to spin it and thus compose themselves as the victim. Like, imagine me going to a stream and somebody's talking about like a guy that did some script to them. Stop hating on men, shaking my head. And then after this person says, we're talking about one guy, what the hell's wrong with you? And I go, I don't want to say anything anymore. I don't want to be abused. You're like, what? It's like no one would have even said anything to you if you didn't come here writing nasty stuff. I mean, we're laughing at you too, Crossdale. You know, we see a clown, we laugh. Mikoski Merson says the cry bullying is strong with this one. Yeah, sure, you're joking.
Mm-hmm. Who?
You haven't told one joke in the 4 unfortunate appearances you've had on this channel. You haven't had one gag ever.
Oh.
The one that said that they were being abused, claiming she's joking. Yeah.
Sorry now.
Well, yeah, whatever that person's name is. James says bye. Oh, all right. I'll see you during the next stream. Have a good rest of your Saturday. I bet what Jim said. I bet you she. I'm not gonna say it all because you know they do that thing where they get mad when you talk about like physical appearance, even though that's what they do all day long. Talk about the way men look. Mm-hmm. But I think I could actually get in trouble if I say, because I read somewhere in the rules there's like a thing about making like remarks about physical appearance, which, by the way, if that's true, there should be like 300 channels of dudes on here after the stuff they said about me. But that, I digress. Yeah, now it's a joke.
I'll be right back. Dominic's calling me.
Close the door. Balloon. I mean, hell, I would constitute her as an airhead after the stuff she was writing. It seems like there's a running theme where if something bad happens in real life and I do it's like the first Saturday stream I do after it, there's like weird stuff being written to me. Because I remember there was a stream where there was like a guy that was talking in riddles. And he was like, if you love yourself, then proclaim it on this stream. And it was like right after I had some horrible stuff happen back in it was like October. So yeah, that's like a recurring theme where garbage stuff happens in real life, and then you try to come on here and just do a stream, whatever. And then there always has to be that one weird lone lunatic that comes over there writing crazy stuff. I want to see her sell some programs. What program? How to be a nut and type garbage on the computer?
I have ascended from the kitchen and I'm back.
Oh,
Is Serena gone yet?
I don't know. The last comment was her saying I'm joking. I still don't think that's actually a chick. I think that it's probably some guy. Because most chicks, no, most chicks don't care about this type of stuff. Like they're too busy, being with men to sit up here and write this garbage.
Yeah.
And we did have a guy who did that one time where he came and he had like he took some woman's picture and changed his username and tried to pass himself as a chick.
Oh wow.
And we caught him because he commented on another stream I did with the same account under the male name. And they were like, "Oh, it's that guy." Because when I read people's comments, a lot of times I'll read their username. So in the stream, I'm like, "Oh, it's male name," and they was like, "Oh, that's the same person," because they typed that. What does that mean? An American thing, I guess. Oh, now you're a nationalist too. You couldn't stop it being racist. You have to be nationalist as well. I agree with you too. Most chicks are too busy with their own partners to be bothered writing antagonistic stuff as this broad. Yeah, I think it's a guy. I said that on another stream. I think this is another one of these guys that's trying to like pass himself off as a chick. I guess thinking we'll be more sympathetic toward them writing garbage. So that's my theory. I'm definitely, yeah. I could say I'm definitely a millionaire, but if I hide my face and don't show you any stuff to prove it, what truth is there to support my claim?
Nothing.
So you're definitely a girl, and you can prove it by saying that you're from England. Like you have no proof to support your claim that you are female.
Who cares if you're from England? What does that prove?
I don't know, man. Maybe she would like me to read her comments in a British accent. No, Megumi, like most chicks, you wouldn't even see them come anywhere near this stuff. So I think it's probably just some bored guy, doing his little cosplay stuff. Where they go online, they're like, "I'm an African prince," that's where they just fake stuff. A Kotsky merchant says, "Who asked? No one cares where you're from." So that woman stuff is just, it really does bring out the worst in people. Like this one's not as bad as some of the other trolls, but it's just like you come here, you write nasty stuff, and you play stupid. Strange why? No idea. Yeah, modern chicks, they're a sight to behold. You gotta help me. I'm having trouble finding the person who asked this lady where she's from.
Somebody said that in the
Yeah, we have to help him find find the person who asked her where she's from. I mean, hell, I'd rather she be in space than in my comment section. At least we wouldn't have to put up with her. I don't know of any trolls on Mars where they land on Neptune. They're like, when I get out of this water, I'm coming to write this. Am I strange because I don't have a boyfriend? Like, well, I don't remember asking you or giving a hoot to know that information. There are a lot of chicks that don't have a boyfriend, but I said before, I think most of it is just due to them being extremely picky. Because we've had this conversation before, where on these dating websites, a lot of the guys that are there because it's their last resort. A lot of the chicks that are on there to fill out their little fantasy that no one can achieve. Why do you take it off?
I didn't take it off. It fell off.
All right, well, make sure to not swallow it or anything. Well, yeah, because you're over here saying this must be an American thing. You're trying to be patronizing to me for being an American. I didn't say anything disparaging about you due to you being from England. I didn't even care to know where you were from.
And that still doesn't prove anything.
That's why I said these people just. Well, yeah, she hasn't proven anything because, like I said, anyone can get on the computer and make a claim. I can make an account right now calling myself, I don't know, Black Ninja, and I can say, oh yeah, I have a black belt, and I'm from Japan. Like just anyone can come on here and say that type of stuff. And we've had people in the past pose as chicks, I guess, to try to lower my guard, even though it never works. So, like if you're actually abroad, make a video.
If you were gonna name yourself Black Ninja and you're from Japan, that would be Karate Kid all over again.
Yep. Never doubt that you're the one, then you can have your dreams. Back to back with the irrelevant information. Damn, not only did no one ask, I also didn't ask for this 2 for the price of 1 with irrelevant information. Oh man, she has taken over the street. Yeah, because she wants attention. All these trolls are the same thing. We're talking about one thing, and then they come and they start being nasty toward me, and then after we respond back with the same level of venom, they try to give us their tragic backstory. Oh, I'm from England, and I don't have a boyfriend, and all this. Like, who cares?
And who asked?
That's why I'm sick of these villains, man. Like, they do the same thing every time. They come to your stream, they're nasty, they're saying weird stuff. Then when everybody responds back to him, oh wait, please listen to my tragic anime-esque backstory. I don't have the confidence to be on YouTube. Yeah, well, sounds like a personal problem.
Serena?
Yeah.
Good for her. Slash him.
Yeah, I still don't believe it's a chick. I'm sorry. That's why it always can be annoying when someone like that comes to the stream, recurring villains, and they always say the same thing. I don't like that you do this. I don't like that you say that, but I'm always going to come back because I'm a dingbat. You know what? Let's actually do a rollback on some free speech for a second. We're going to implement a new policy where every other comment she types is getting deleted and ignored. So next thing she types, we just read the where is it? There you go. So every other comment will get deleted. So we can continue to stream and talk about stuff that is more interesting. We're not going to ban this person yet. We're hoping they have enough sense to leave on their own. But we're going to see if they'll finally go away because no one asked them to be here. They always have nothing nice to say. They're nasty. They're gross. They're racist. They're antagonistic. And we just don't feel like dealing with it. These recurring villains, that's what they are. Every time they say they're done watching me, I'm not going to watch you again, they always come back. And I'm not even a big channel. Like, I don't even get, I always understand if someone has like 1 million subs, 100,000, 70,000, because, it's harder to avoid. But like, you keep coming to someone that a lot of times can't even get 10 people to watch them. And they just like always show, it's like, go away. Earlier today, this dude from an all-black server I'm in DM'd me and asked if I loved all black. I said no one called.
All-black server.
When I said no, he called me an Uncle Tom. Like what? I just stopped responding. That's all he do is just throw out insults when you don't agree with him.
Insult to injury.
And they're lucky that wasn't me. I wouldn't even be in that server.
You know that server's a thing.
Has the nerve to ask me why I'm so mean. You come to my stream saying, still bashing all women, or still bashing women, shaking my head. Like, yeah, you act nasty toward me, and then we respond back nasty toward you. You're doing the snowflake stuff. Hey Megumi, they really did turn YouTube into a comic book. Recurring villains, retcons, plot twists, all this romance. Like I really would make that video, the romance comic book, because all the stuff in comics you can find in this chick crap. You got the status quo where it's the guy that is mostly single, and then if it looks like he's finally met somebody, they find a way to screw it up and botch it and have him start back where he was already in the position of. Like it's really funny. I'm only there because my friend is on that server and we'll use the VC whenever we play Dead by Dingus together. I was playing that earlier this week. I had the Ebony Mori, which lets you kill survivors after they've entered the 2-hook stage, and somebody had a key, so I face camped them until they were in the 2-hook stage, and then someone got them off the hook. And I was playing as Huntress, so when they put the pallet down, I throw the hatchet, knock him down, came over there and killed him, and then the game like disconnected. But that part was just so cathartic. I hate it when they bring keys. Every time, every game is the same thing. You have to go and tunnel that person because if they do enough generators and you kill one other person, that means they can get everybody out of the match. I hate it. I knew they were going to ask when did I say that after I mentioned the time them saying a racist remark. Yeah, and thanks to the power of streams, we could roll the tape back. That's why we said let's do a flashback, and that's when she said, "Oh, I'm leaving," and then was still here anyway.
Why haven't you left yet?
Because these people are weird.
Why would you be annoying somewhere else?
Because they like to watch people that they claim they don't like.
We don't care because you're in England.
I mean, it's like there are a lot of people I meet from foreign countries. What does that have to do with anything, though?
Yeah, the heck.
One of my mods is from Japan. You remember the one I'm talking about?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I'm not like, am I supposed to be astonished that someone on the World Wide Web isn't from the U.S.?
Totally.
I'm supposed to go, whoa, you're from England?
Now somebody else is FaceTiming me. I'll be right back.
All right, close the door. I know a Nigerian prince. No, I'm so done with just these people and the way they act, and all the victimhood stuff they like to do. That's why I don't really like interacting with chicks for the most part. Like if in a non-project or work setting, because a lot of them do that thing of like the victimhood stuff, like, oh, you weren't attentive to me and all this. Like, pick a lane. You're either going to ignore me month after month or week after week, or you're going to get mad because I didn't send you a message. Just they can't pick which one they want to be. You're either not paying them enough attention or they're not paying you any attention. That's rules for thee, but not for me. Oh, did he not call you?
No, apparently he thought he called me. I called him.
Yeah, don't say any names. He asked me why I had no love for black women, and I told him I love black women as far as the women in my life. Why would I love a woman I don't know? Why would you love anyone you don't know? They did try to play that racial angle on me for a while. I was like, look, I don't care about ethnicity. Like, I've tried with multiple different ethnic groups. Most of the ones I've approached in real life I'll admit have been black, but like whatever. It's first come, first serve. You show interest, and I'm also interested in, and that's that. It's the same thing with these positions. Like I don't work these because these are my dream positions I've been trying to get. No, whoever offers me work, and they're the only one offering, I'll take. It's not that hard to figure out. I know a guy that dated a Hispanic chick, and he had his relatives talking about, oh, we want you to date someone who's what. It's like I don't care. First come, first serve. If no one is showing you interest other than this one person who happens to be of another ethnicity, have at it. They really love just bringing up all this irrelevant stuff. It's so sad. Oh, by the way, I was on what website was that? Twitter. I think it was 2 or 3 days ago. And this Scooper account, because they always have somebody on there that's talking about this movie is coming in 3 years, or this person might be in this movie, or this person was spot on the set of this without no pictures, stuff like that. This person said that apparently Marvel Studios wants to use Defoe again to play Goblin, and because people are anti everything, I look in the comment section. No Way Home was the perfect ending for his character. We don't need to see him again. We need new villains. And, and I'm just like, man, every time they want to use someone again without knowing what the story is, without knowing what this person's role will be in it, they just always find a way to be opposed to it. Because I was thinking, I was like, well, let's see, he's the main villain of the first movie, and then like in No Way Home, which is a fairly crowded film, you've got four other villains in this film. He doesn't even show up for the first time until like 30 minutes in, and then he gets like 3 scenes before snapping and blowing up the apartment, and then he just kind of disappears for another 20, 30 minutes whenever the other two Spider-Men show up. And it's like, I don't feel like that film was really about him. Like, he's one of the best parts of it, but it's got a lot of other characters and a lot of scenes where he's not even involved for me to say, oh yeah, proper send off, never have to use him again. It's just like, that's why I said people they're just always opposed to something. They always find a way to say no, just without any basis to go off of. Just you throw a premise at them, no, like just I just hate the anti-everything crowd because they have no imagination. I don't care about Misty either, but he interprets this as me being bitter toward my mother. Oh, they love doing that where they try to like use they try to assign to you problems with people and then like use it for other stuff. Because I remember the what's that? What chick was that? I had one of them do that to me where like I mentioned something to my mother. She's like, oh, well, that's why you're acting like this to me because men who have problems with their mother have problems with women as well. I was like, get out of here. It's like, if that's true, how are you and I speaking decently to each other for almost a year before you pulled your latest stunt? I understand that I've come across a lot of people like that, especially on the internet in real life. But my thing is like, if they didn't want to have Defoe like play Goblin again in the sense that like, oh, the movie is him versus Spider-Man for a third, so it's like, okay, whatever. But you could do a movie where he is he's Goblin, but he's like getting somebody else to be Hobgoblin, or he's manipulating another person into fighting Spider-Man. Like, it doesn't have to be the same thing each time, even if you use the same character. Like Norman in the comics is very versatile. I mean, you have someone who sometimes is Spider-Man's opponent, and then sometimes he's Iron Patriot and leading the Dark Avengers. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can do with that character, and it's just so sad that these people really believe in the one and done. They have like a refusal to just ever contemplate. And I guess I look at it like this. They'll be completely fine with 15, 18, 22 movies of Holland as Spider-Man, right? But if you want 3 with Defoe as the same character. Oh my god, like I don't understand it. Like I don't get this opposition for the because it would be different if somebody wrote a script, you don't like the script, so you don't want to like whatever. But they have no idea what these people are gonna do. Like I remember, something pretty similar happened when No Way Home was first announced, and they revealed that Molina was coming back as Doc Ock. And people were like, "I hope it's not the same one from the Raimi trilogy because that'll ruin his character." I'm like, guys, we don't even know anything about this movie yet. We haven't seen a trailer. We haven't like just nothing. Just you know, get some. All you know is somebody's coming back. You don't know what the deal is with with regard to the character arc or whatever. I do think it was kind of a retread, but still. I think she's gone too, Jim. Okay, Akatsuki Merchant says, "Well, you know how those people are when they only come around when you say something about romance. They always find a way to magically suddenly appear." Um, Akatsuki Merchant says, "I told him that he said about my mother is slanderous because she and I get along very well, and he tried to make me feel bad for having a sense of integrity in defending my mother. I mean, hell, I'd have a lot more respect for someone that defends their parent or sibling over some random chick online. At least in the traditional sense, it's your mother that took care of you. Again, obviously there are exceptions, but like I just that's a lot more understandable to me than oh, you said something about random woman I've never met. Just. But getting back to what I was saying, it really does seem like there's just these people who can always find a way to be against something. They don't have to know what the plot's about. All you have to do is just throw one idea at them and they're like no, like it just really sucks. They don't ever want to even consider something that they're opposed to stuff just to be opposed to stuff. Like I heard a while back that Sony was considering doing an Electro spinoff. As I said before, I don't really like TASM 2 Electro. I think he was weird. I feel like it really sucks that the only major black character in TASM or TASM 2 was this villain that's like not even smart or charismatic or just like this mentally ill guy, whatever. Like I wasn't a fan of the character. But I'm like, maybe if they did spin off on him, even though it's not something I'm really excited to see or really invested in seeing because I don't really care for the character, they might write something that's actually good. I would admit he was better in No Way Home. So, like I'm not opposed to the concept of it. Just I would need to hear more about it to be on board with it. Like what's it about? What does it explore? If the ideas are something that I think sounds interesting, whatever, then okay, I'll be for it. But until then I'm neutral. I'm not gonna go, no, never, just they're just opposed to everything. That's why I called them anti everything. Just like I had a guy on my channel say he didn't think they should do a Thanos prequel. And I'm like, talking about this character is dead. It's like, yeah, Black Widow was dead and she still got a movie made about her. And then it's like, oh, the general audiences are not familiar with him. It's like, what are you talking about? He's considered one of the best movie villains, period. We've had multiple polls to support this widespread acclaim for the character. And it's like, you guys are seeing movies made about a character like Morbius, who I've never seen a single person say they want a Morbius solo movie. But if I want one for Thanos, it's too much. Really? Okay. Megumi says far too many people are opposed to different concepts and other ideas and quickly dismiss it, and any others who may be optimistic are showing interest in it. Yeah, but this is what gets me, right? If I wrote a script, like for example, I would like Spider-Man 4, right? The Raimi one. If I write a script for that and you read it and you say, this doesn't really sound good to me, I don't think the characters are interesting, I don't think the story's interesting, okay, fine, whatever. But if I just say I'd like a fourth movie with the Maguire version of this character. No, it's like you don't know what the story is. You don't know who's in it except for one person, who the villain is. No trailer. Like all you know is that we want to use this one person, and that's enough to send you into an opposition to just be opposed to it.
Stupid.
Yeah, that's why I said people are just anti everything. They're just always against something. Just you off the tiniest. They have no way, no knowledge of what the story is or any deeper meaning of this stuff. They just hear a little tiny blurb and it's like, no. And I'm just really tired of people like that because I've never seen someone who's just opposed to stuff to be opposed to stuff actually making something unique and interesting or contributing to a dialogue in any meaningful way. I'm so tired of the anti everything crowd. And it really does seem like whenever you have an idea, you haven't even wrote anything yet. All you say is one sentence worth of something, people will just be opposed to it. You know, it's really sad that we're in an era where you just have opposition for the sake of opposition. Really tired of these people. They're not creative. They're not saying anything worth listening to. And one of the things I mentioned before about superhero films that's plagued them since they started was a desire to get rid of a villain after one movie. So, that was one of the things I liked about No Way Home, that you got to see villains from before coming back to sometimes do something interesting, do something a little bit different. But even then, it's like it's still a very crowded movie, and that because of how crowded it was, it makes me want to see pretty much every villain that was in it at least one more time in something that isn't as crowded. Like if you wanted to have, um, for example, okay, I'll see you later, Jim. But I'm just saying, it's like people are just opposed to stuff to be opposed to stuff. It's really sad. The opposition crew is coming through. Akatsuki Merchant wants them to use Defoe as Green Goblin for a third major film appearance. Uh, no, we've already seen that twice.
And
We can't see him a third time, but we can see this iteration of Spider-Man like 15 times and not have a problem with it. No, Holland's played Peter in 6 movies, remember?
mhm.
So he can play him in 6 movies, and these people want another 3 with him in it, right? But if we want one more movie with a villain in it, it's too much. Yeah, they're weird. It seems really strange to me too to just like to have the Goblin, you know, do what he did. Like what I'm not because people are still like crying about spoilers, but to have him do what he did to Peter and then never use him again, you know what I mean? Like, they could just have it to where there's like another alternate universe where he survived and they pull him out of that. What still gets me is how people mentioned there are too many characters in Spider-Man 3. Well, see, that's why I said recency bias. Oh, neither am I, Megumi. Recency bias does that, where a lot of criticisms of the third Raimi film you could apply to No Way Home a thousandfold, and somehow one of them has a 60 something percent on Rotten Tomatoes, whatever that stupid website is, and the other one's getting like 80 something and is being lauded and celebrated and cheered on. And I'm just like, guys, No Way Home has more characters than Spider-Man 3. Like more villains, more protagonists, and somehow it's not getting criticized for literally having multiple villains that you could cut out and you wouldn't miss a single thing. That's why I wanted to do my review because I watched the film and I was like, why is nobody talking about this? you know, like I always like I told you when the third movie came out, I was 9, and I read all these reviews. Too many villains, too many characters, and like now you see what's happening. We're getting Avengers movies with loads of characters. Now another Spider movie with loads of characters, and it's like you guys can't tell me that anymore. Like I said, let's count the characters in Spider-Man 3. You got Peter, Harry, Mary Jane, Jameson, Aunt May, Gwen, her dad, Sandman, Venom. Like that's pretty much it. You got like 9 characters, like 9 major characters with multiple scenes. You know what I mean? With No Way Home, you've got 3 Spider-Men, Ned, MJ, Lizard, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, um, Electro, Sandman, Aunt May, Happy, Flash. That's like this movie objectively has more characters that they're trying to do have like give multiple scenes to, and you know what I'm saying. It's so it really is just recency bias where a film can have the exact same interpreted issues, right? And people just let it slide because they're all riding the hype train. I was really not excited with what they did with Sandman. It was pretty awful, and I always said I wish they could have Hayden Church come back because I think he does look like Sandman, and have him play either the main villain of a movie, which was the original intent of 3, or one of 2 villains, right? One or two, one the main villain or one of 2 villains, and I think he'd work very very well, and it would be a nice way to give him the attention I think a performance of his caliber deserves. But No Way Home didn't do that. They give him 5, 6, 7 lines. They have him mention his daughter like once or twice. They have him, like it was he was largely out of focus. And that's why I said he's only in that movie because they had some kind of mandate that they had to use a villain from every one of the 5 live action Spider-Man movies that were done by Sony before they started partnering with Marvel. And like I said, they were stuck with him. They couldn't use Venom because Sony owns the film rights to Venom, and they couldn't use Harry because he touched me. So we got stuck with a CGI version of Sandman that barely gets any lines, and they give so little of a crap about that when he finally turns back to being himself, they have to reuse Spider-Man 3 footage. I really hate that Franco got Me Too. He would Harry would have been so much better to have in this than Sandman. Like we could have seen an older version of Harry with his dad, and they could have had we could have had a good Goblin versus a bad Goblin. We've never had that in live action before. Or they could have used. Oh, by the way, no, I'm not going to say it. I don't want to get them monetized any more than I already have been. No, we live in the cameo era where they can just stick you in the movie for 5 seconds. People will start cheering. It's like, oh, they're bringing back Lizard, the villain that nobody cared about from the first Chasm. Oh, what's he going to do in this movie? Get captured off screen by Doctor Strange and then sit inside of, even when the villains are like together in that little apartment, he's sitting inside of a little box, and then he escapes and disappears for the whole rest of the movie, all the way up until the fight where he gets like defeated very easily compared to the other 2. I already said before, in my revised version of this movie, I don't know if I told you about it, I would have had it just be 3 villains. You know what 3 I'm talking about, right? Green Goblin, Doc Ock, and Electro. And when they're at the apartment, Doc Ock gets cured like we see in the film, right? And that's when the Goblin taking over Norman's mind convinces Electro, hey, you don't need to be fixed or whatever. and then the whole apartment fight plays out the same with Goblin and Electro getting away. But
Mhm.
Doc Ock stays with, like, looks for Peter because he consoles him because he's, over Aunt May dying. Because remember, he lost his wife, so he knows what it's like to lose someone you care about
Mhm.
because all these superpowers and all that crap. And then while those two are talking and like saying, "Hey, we're gonna go and get these other two villains, take them back to their timeline," that
Mhm.
scene at Ned's apartment plays out where the other Spider-Man come through the portal, and then in the final battle, it's the three Spider-Men and Doc Ock versus Electro and Goblin, and Electro's fighting the like he's powered up, right? He's powered up all the way to the max because that was like the thing they had. He's shown all this energy since he came through, and he's fighting the four of the Spider-Man and Doc Ock, and then Goblin shows up, grabs Holland, the newest one, MCU one, and then they have their fight while the other three are fighting Electro. Because remember, one of the problems I had with that Goblin fight, besides it being very short, is that it has no stakes. They have, remember, it's like a Dragon Ball fight. They have the other two Spider-Man. We're just gonna watch him fight Goblin by himself. Hey, Megumi, that final battle between, oh, Maguire certainly made the movie that much better. Yeah, my only problem is I wish he had shown up earlier. Listen, I like the movie. I give it an 8 out of 10. It might drop down to a 7 out of 10 as time goes on, but it definitely is getting more praise than it deserves. It is an all right anniversary film at best. There are plot contrivances. Like I remember people were saying in Spider-Man 3, the meteorite landing next to Peter and Mary Jane with the symbiote is a plot contrivance because it just shows up right next to them by happenstance. Like, dude, uh, it's not a plot contrivance that Peter, the supposed genius, didn't think to talk about Doctor Strange before altering the spell. Like they didn't rehearse it. Megumi says that's an interesting contrast. Yeah, it was like a Dragon Ball fight. Think about this. Spider-Man versus Green Goblin. What are the other two Spider-Men doing? Fighting some other villain? No, they're just sitting there watching him fight him.
Mhm.
Now, remember in the first Raimi movie when Peter was fighting Norman and he blows off half his mask with the pumpkin bomb, you know, the stakes are he's the only person that can stop him. There's nobody to help him. If he doesn't win, he's going to kill Mary Jane. He's going to kill all these other innocent people. Imagine how less stakes that would have if there were two other people with the same powers just standing there just watching it. Like it didn't have any stakes. The final battle of this movie has no stakes. It was like a Dragon Ball fight where they just stand there and they watch the most powerful person fight the villain. That's one of the reasons I really like the filler from the Cell games where they have Piccolo, Yamcha, Krillin, and Tien like all start blasting Cell in the back because they never get to do that where they just all team up on a villain like that. You don't really get like pretty team ups pretty much die after Frieza in that series, which really does suck because a lot of those are very interesting to me. No, one of the problems I had was that Doc Ock doesn't interact with the TASM Spider-Man, which is really insane because TASM 2 was setting up Doc Ock. That's why they have his tentacles in the movie in the gentleman's laboratory or whatever that place was. Um, and we don't get to see Goblin directly interact with Maguire's version of Peter. We know, he stabs him, right? But they don't actually talk to each other. They don't exchange any words. I'm like, this was his arch nemesis. This is who the whole trilogy, like, he's even after he's dead, he's the looming presence because of Harry. Like, how do you not have the two of them talk to each other the whole movie? No, like that's weird and lazy. That's why I said stuff is just so bizarre. I really didn't understand that at all. Well, like I said, they didn't put too much thought into this movie. I feel like they knew they could kind of they were going to get $1 billion anyway because all the actors from past stuff they were bringing in. So it was very short lived and rushed. That's why I said that final battle between Peter and the Goblin. That's supposed to be the big climactic, conclusive. This the person that killed your aunt fight isn't even 2 minutes long. It's very short, right? And the other two Spider-Men just stand there and watch. So it's very short and it has no stakes. And this is the final battle of the movie. The fight between Peter and Doc Ock at the bridge was longer than that fight, and that wasn't even about like getting revenge. Like the only stakes that had was, oh, here's this new villain, and there's like this lady that's gonna fall off of this bridge, who I barely know, and I'm kind of upset with because she represents this school that wouldn't let my friends go to it because they know me. When I see the praise this film is getting, it does kind of make me sad because I've seen people just criticize and criticize and nitpick and find every single issue they possibly can in mostly Spider-Man 3, but also the other two Raimi films to an extent. It's like you guys do all that, but then for this one, you're saying, oh well, this was okay because of da 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 da. It's like how recency bias at its finest. Because I don't even go to these like trying to just nitpick stuff. Like I don't think I'm that kind of person, but there are multiple things they could have had done differently if they wanted a better story in my view. And I've given you examples of what I'm talking about. So it's not like nebulous stuff. No, it was really rushed. And like I said, man, it's like this is supposed to be the final time we see the foe as Goblin in a movie where, again, he doesn't show up until over 30 minutes in it. He gets like 3 scenes before he goes crazy, and then he disappears for the rest of it until the final battle. And then the final fight with him and Spider-Man isn't even 2 minutes long. So yeah, I do want to see him in the third movie because I just don't think this was a good send off for the character. And I think there's a lot of stuff you can do with that character if you are being creative, which it doesn't seem like they are, but I digress. The main villain of the movie, and he's got like 4 scenes. Like I said, I'm always up for them bringing back someone that they've used before, especially if I don't feel like they perfected them or did them justice the first time around. Like I think I said before I liked Tasm, the first one, but I do think Kirk Connors is probably the weakest part of that movie. Mainly because I just think he's underdeveloped. I don't think they spend enough time showing like why he wants his arm back. And his plot of wanting to turn the city into lizards, I think is goofy and sounds like something out of a cartoon. So, that's why I said I'm all for them using him again in something because I just don't think they've done it well, previously. Remember, we can have heroes in 8 movies, but if we have a villain in more than one or two, oh my God, whatever will we do? They did him dirty, that's for sure. And then Doc Ock barely saying anything to Maguire when they meet for the first time in such a long time. Well, the thing about Ock is I'm more divisive. So like I would be all up for him showing up a third time. Uh Again, I'm all for any of these people coming back. But with him, there was something like the biggest issue I have is that they retread what happened in Spider-Man 2 with him being evil and then, get rid of the inhibitor chip and then he's good. Um, but that being said, he's the first villain we're introduced to. He pretty much is the one we spend the most time with because there's not really that many scenes of just like Norman and Peter. Like it's the only closest you get to that is that one of the two of them with Aunt May for that one part of it. So I'm more content with his screen time, but they still messed it up in a few instances. Like I wanted to see him interact with Maguire more than he did in the film. I think it's really insane that they just have him disappear. Like he's cured at the apartment and he flees like a villain. He just disappears. Nobody knows where he is. And I really would have liked the scene between him and Holland where he talks about, "Oh, your aunt died. Well, my wife died. You know, that's one of the worst parts about having these powers, and innocent people get hurt." You know, like they could have done something with that. So yeah, there's a lot of missed opportunities in this movie, even with the two villains that they spent the most time with. I still think they could have done more with them if they wanted to. But that's why I said it feels like once the other two Spider-Men showed up, they were so invested in like trying to set them up. And that's why I said I think they introduced them too late into the movie. I think they should have shown up, if not in the first act, at least by the start of the second one. So much wasted potential.
Has anybody said anything in the chat ever since?
Yeah, we're talking to him.
Oh,
But that's why I always am like, hey, if you want to bring this person back, be my guest. Because if they do a movie and I feel like they haven't done everything they could do or most of what they can do, and I'm unsatisfied, I want to see them in something else as to rectify the issue. So there's a lot of stuff that they don't get around to doing that sucks. I don't know. It feels like there was a lot of stuff they could have done that they just could. Like I give them. I'll like for example, I say that I would prefer if they used Harry instead of Sandman. I don't hold it against them because I know they couldn't use him because of the scandal with Franco. But I am saying that if you have five villains and there's two of them where they matter so little that you don't even have the actual actors there, maybe you shouldn't use them. Maybe if you want to actually bring back those actors, you can put them in another movie as either you can do like the multiverse thing still, or you can just have them like be the same antagonist just in a different universe, still wreaking havoc, or some kind of spin, whatever way you want to do it. But that's usually the reason I end up saying, hey, I want Molina in a third movie as Doc Ock. I want Defoe in a fifth movie as Doc Ock, so as Green Goblin rather. It's like, yeah, because if I think they haven't done with them everything they can do or most of what I would like to see, I'll want to see something be rectified with another movie. Like they're popping these things out every other year, so why not? A lot of wasted potential. And it's funny too, because it's like I'm not even trying to make sequels or spin-offs to this. I just wanted a film that could be all of what it could be, and they just didn't do it. Like there are certain interactions that I think in that 2.5 hour runtime they could have accomplished, but they just dithered and delayed. Like it it took them too long to introduce the first villain. That's my opinion because I counted. It's 18 minutes in Spider-Man 2 we're introduced to Doc Ock, and it's almost 30 minutes into No Way Home when we see Doc Ock for the first time. So I think they waited too long to introduce the villains, and they don't have enough scenes to really stand out. We'll see how it go. We'll have to see how it goes. I honestly don't believe they'll make a movie with most of the same cast. I don't think they will make another one with most. What I do think might happen because we know Molina wants to come back to play Doc Ock in the Sinister Six movie with Sony, which they have said will use villains from the Sony Spider-Man films. You might be able to get him in that, and then with Defoe, they might use him for because I just can't imagine that's the end of it. So I don't think we're going to get all of them again in something, but I do think there's chances to get them in separate stuff, down the line. I didn't even really care for this cast anyway. Megumi, I don't know if you remember, but I said they should have killed MJ instead of Aunt May because um, if you're going to do a story where he makes everybody forget his memory, or rather forget their memory of him, and you're apparently not going to use MJ after this trilogy because you want to bring in Gwen or some other person from the comics thing, yeah, kill her off. Kill her off and make that the reason why he doesn't let people know his secret identity. If you're again assuming they're not going to use her again. I think it would have been more surprising, and because like people don't expect a like you know what it is. Gwen is the girlfriend everybody knows that just dies, right? Except in Spider-Man 3. But with this new character, you can do whatever you want with them. So you could actually surprise people by killing off a character you made and like having her play a large scale role of this is why he doesn't date anybody. This is why he doesn't try to have a romance with anyone because of stuff like this. But they won't do that because they don't want to do a superhero movie without a love interest. That's why MJ was made the love interest in Far From Home because they didn't want to ever like for some reason we can't have a single superhero movie where there's no love interest. You just can't unless the closest you might get to is if it's a teen movie. That's only because they can't feasibly give everyone a a girlfriend or whatever. So I'm gonna hold out hope that we get Defoe and Melina back for those roles again. They made so much money and a lot, and they're well liked. But maybe the anti everything crowd will win out. It just seems really bizarre. Like I just don't buy the idea because if you think about the performances, right? It's McGuire and Garfield that were the most anticipated, and then followed by them, Melina and Defoe, out of like the returning people. Um, but it's hard for me to believe that like we're never gonna see those four as those characters. Like I don't buy it. They made too much money. Well, see, that's why with TASM 2, and I know you haven't seen it, but I'm just gonna say this. I thought it was really stupid to get rid of Gwen because the whole reason that character died in the comics was because Mary Jane was seen as more interesting, which she kind of is, than Gwen, who hated Spider-Man, didn't know Peter, had a dual identity. By letting her find out in TASM that he has the identity and making her accepting of this, you basically already turned her into Mary Jane. So like, why? It's so weird. They make her a composite of Mary Jane, but then they kill her off like just because that happened in the comics. Like you guys already showed you break what happens in the comics all the time. It's so weird like what choices they make when it comes to like what to be faithful to. Yeah, I think they should have instead of killing off Aunt May, who I didn't feel anything for because like remember Homecoming, she's there, but just a sex joke. She's barely in Far From Home, and then in this, she's there for like the first half hour. I think it would have been a more compelling, surprising, and better long-term story to have MJ get killed when she got that fall, or either have Goblin throw the pumpkin bomb at her, whichever, and then after he erases people's memories of him, she's still deceased, but now no one else that knows has to worry about being put in danger because of him. And then over the next supposed trilogy that they're claiming they're going to make, he doesn't date anyone, or he's like very reluctant to date anyone because of what happened to her. I just think there's more long-term potential with killing her off than with killing Aunt May off because we did Aunt May in the MCU is like a minor character. She's not really prominent enough to even like elicit. And that's why my best friend said that when she died, he clapped. He was happy. Like she just is not like we as much as I'm not a big fan of the MCU's version of MJ. At the very least, we spent time with her during Far From Home and No Way Home as well. Like at least she's a big part of both of those to where it would be kind of surprising to build her up and then get rid of her. It would carry more weight in my view. Yeah, he was happy. Like I know people who said when Harry died they were surprised and they were sad. When Gwen died they were sad. They weren't surprised. That always happens to Gwen. Um, with Aunt May you feel nothing because it's like Harry in the Raimi films has a very like strong focus and character arc, right? Same like Gwen is basically the secondary main character of the two TASM films. Uh, and Aunt May is just like she's a couple of scenes of the sex joke in Homecoming, barely in Far From Home, And then in this, she's like now all of a sudden so responsible and all the rest of it doesn't work. It's disjointed. Like you don't feel anything because it's a character you really don't know anything about. You didn't spend any time with in the last movie, and she's dead halfway through this one, so it's like whatever. No, he was happy. He said she was annoying. Man, what a waste of a good actress. It's like, oh, it was so surprising. It's like, no, it would have been even more surprising if you killed off MJ, because a lot of people would have been shocked you got rid of your own creation. Exactly, Sam Raimi is the best Aunt May, but for sure, just like it is the best Spider-Man. Oh yeah, Rosemary Harris is Aunt May. Actually, is an interesting character. Like in the first movie, she has the character arc of losing her husband and trying to live on her own. In the second one, she actually has character development, unlike the MCU's Aunt May, because at the start of the film, when Harry mentions Spider-Man, she says, "The less of that man you hear, the better." And then after he saves her, she admits she was wrong about him. And then she mentions like wondering where he is and that he needs to come back. You know, just a way better, more interesting character than the MCU's version, which is just a sex joke. Well, listen, Megumi, I've seen all of these. The one in Amazing Spider-Man, played by Sally Field, is a good character, but she's in TASM 2. TASM 2 doesn't do anybody justice. Like in TASM 2, they have a part where they mention that she's taking like these nursing classes so she can, get money to take care of Peter. And then like she knows about the stuff with his parents. I'm like, this is interesting, but it's one of like 5 plots in this movie. But again, she's still a bet. Like the Aunt May in the MCU is the worst one easily, and it's not the actress; it's the writing and just that whole portrayal. Far From Home could have been uncharted territory because that Homecoming ends with her finding out that he's Spider-Man. I'm like, oh my god, we've never had a movie version of Aunt May find out his secret identity. So the next movie's gonna have her like, like what's it like to be the mother of a superhero? We've never seen that before, and they did nothing with it. They just do a time skip, and well, she just accepts that he's a superhero. I was so annoyed. I was like, you had the chance to do something we've never seen. Because remember, that's the point of the MCU films. Oh, we're going to use villains you've never seen before. They could have done a whole unique story that we've never seen play out in any of the 7 movies that were made at that time, and they just flew over it. I was just disgusted. I was like, you guys are the laziest, safest, most bland, boring pricks ever. That was insane. No, John Watts is not like I wouldn't have him direct a Cat House. Megumi, no other version of Aunt May in the movies ever found out he was Spider-Man. And that is the literal ending of Homecoming. And I was so excited at the prospect of having a version of her that knows he's Spider-Man. Like, what's it like to be that? Like, that could have been so interesting. We've never seen it before, and they didn't do anything with it. They barely even have her in the damn movie. And then she dies in this one. We're supposed to care. That's why I said, man, I'm so talking about. This felt more emotional because she's been in 3 movies. Like, yeah, 3 where she barely even did anything. Like, she's had no character development. She's just a stupid joke. Like, it was so pathetic. God, I don't know how anyone, but like I said before, the people who say the MCU one is the best one, they don't read comics. They don't know what character development is. They just think Holland is hot, so they excuse all the bad writing and missed opportunities and goofy crap. It's sad, man. It's really pathetic that it's just like I'm not even a professional writer, and I was like, oh my god, this could be something uncharted. This could be new, and like that occurs to me, but not to them. But look, I'm gonna get off of here. I've been going for over 2 hours. I'm tired. Um, I appreciate you for showing up, Megumi. I appreciated Jem when he was here earlier, Akatsuki Merchant, James. We had a clown a little bit earlier, but I hope we were able to turn the stream around. So thanks for showing up. I'll be back on Monday. Have a good rest of your day.